But then, the Vice President has appealed this to the Commission on Audit. As to allegations found by our committees on merit status, these are to be explained in the trial.
Yes.
And so therefore, I find that the first ground, there is substance in substance of this form. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable De Lima, your comment?
I absolutely agree with the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez with respect to his summation that these are constitutive of betrayal of public trust. Now,
Na kung ipagpapalagay na totoo ay bumubuo ng impeachable offense sa ilalim ng Rule 3, Section 5. Mahalaga rin tandaan natin na meron na tayong established standards ang committee ito. Dahil ng ilang linggo lang na nakaraan, dumaan rin sa committee na ito yung impeachment complaint laban sa Pangulong Marcos. Mula sa mga naunang disposisyon ng impeachment complaints, malinaw na sinabi ng komite na ito na hindi sapat ang mga aligasyon na nakaantabay lamang sa administrative process, audit observation, o konklusyon na walang malinaw na factual particulars. Bago tayo pumasok sa substance ng complaint, Chair, sa ating mga kasamahan dito sa komite, bago tayo pumasok sa substance ng complaint number 3, mahalagang balikan muna natin ang tungkulin natin sa ilalim ng rules of impeachment. Ang mandato ng committee ito ay simple, ngunit mabigat. Tiyakin na ang bawat impeachment complaint na dinala sa kapulungan ay pumasa sa pamantayan ng batas. Kaya ang panawagan ko sa bawat miyembro ay pairali natin ang parehong antas ng pagsusuri na inaasahan sa anumang legal proceedings. Maingat, patas at walang kinikilingan. Ang tanong sa harap natin ngayon ay hindi kung political controversy, kundi kung ang complaint ba ay naglalaman ng ultimate facts. Na kung ipagpapalagay na totoo, ay bumubuo ng impeachable offense sa ilalim ng Rule 3, Section 5. Mahalaga rin tandaan natin na meron na tayong established standards ang committee ito. Dahil ng ilang linggo lang na nakaraan, dumaan rin sa committee na ito yung impeachment complaint laban sa Pangulong Marcos. Mula sa mga naunang disposisyon ng impeachment complaints, malinaw na sinabi ng komite na ito na hindi sapat ang mga aligasyon na nakaantabay lamang sa administrative process, audit observation, o konklusyon na walang malinaw na factual particulars tulad ng unlawful acts, personal participation, o personal gain. Sa parehong pamantayan na iyon, dapat natin suriin ang complaint 3 and 4. Kung ang mga aligasyon ba ay tunay na naglalatag ng impeachable offense o kung ang mga ito ay naglalarawan lamang ng mga pangyayaring hindi pa naman napapatunayan na iligal na gawain. Ang diskusyon na ito na nais kong buksan ay nakatuon dito sa pamantayan na ito. Now, dadako na ako sa aligasyon. On complaint 3, naisaad na on August 22,
If I may interrupt, Honorable Suntay, we are deliberating on a per ground basis.
Yes.
We are only on the first ground.
I'm on the first ground, Madam
Thank you.
Chair. It was just an opening statement. On August 22, 2022, as alleged, VP Sara requested an additional amount of 250 million for confidential funds, as was stated by the Honorable Congresswoman Laila De Lima. The allegation establishes only that the respondent requested confidential funds. Requesting funds is part of the budget execution process and is not illegal per se. The complaint does not allege that the request violated any law or constitutional prohibition. Thus, no impeachable offense was pleaded. On paragraph 24, it stated only 125 million was approved for release for the office. But the signing alone constitute an impeachable offense? Signing of a disbursement voucher is a ministerial or administrative act necessary for fund release. The complaint does not allege that a voucher was falsified or illegal. Therefore, the paragraph does not plead any unlawful overt act. On paragraph 27, the cash was placed into 4 traveling bags. BP Sara was, as alleged, even assuming that the instructions was given, the allegation describes operational handling of confidential funds. Dahil ang disbursement ng confidential funds, hindi naman cheque ang ini-issue sa mga confidential agent. Naturally, you would need cash to disburse for to be distributed. At 4 p.m., as alleged on paragraph 28, December 20, Acosta gave, ito yung tungkol sa handling raw ng funds, Colonel La Chica gave the full amount of 125 million. The paragraph describes a transfer between subordinates. No allegations is made that the respondent received the funds or personally benefited, which is very important, yung personal benefit. Handling of funds, the distribution should benefit someone. We are trying to impeach the Vice President. This distribution of money, of the confidential funds, ultimately benefited the Vice President. I read through all the entirety of the complaint, and there is no specific allegation that the money was indeed, that the money indeed went to the Vice President. On paragraph 37, using her subordinates and the VPSG, this is a conclusory allegation unsupported by factual details. The complaint does not specify the amount allegedly taken, the benefit obtained, the assets acquired. Under Rule 3, Section 5, conclusions do not constitute ultimate facts. The complaint further alleges that the Vice President disbursed the amount in 11 days. You know, we have to take note. The request from the Office of the Vice President was made on August 20, 2022. The funds were approved by the President and downloaded to the Office of the Vice President on December 20. 11 days before the end of the calendar year. So, but the question is, does rapid disbursement alone constitute an impeachable offense? Does it establish illegality? Confidential funds may be disbursed quickly due to operational requirements. The complaint fails to show the unlawful diversion. Saan ba ginamit yung confidential funds? COA issued, it is true that COA issued its first audit observation memorandum. But an audit observation memorandum is a preliminary audit finding, requesting clarification. It does not establish liability nor show that respondents personally falsified documents. It was also alleged that COA issued a notice of disallowance on August 8, 2024 for items totaling 73 million. But a notice of disallowance establishes potential administrative liability subject to appeal. It does not automatically establish criminal conduct or an impeachable offense. Now, ang kailangan natin malaman, is there a final audit observation issued by the COA? O wala? Because I was going through the complaint, there was no mention of a final audit observation. If there was, then it was not contained in the complaint. So, Madam Chairman, with regards to the first allegation, on my part, these are my observations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Since I observe that we are beginning to become passionately engaged in our deliberation, I am reminding the justice members to limit the manifestation into 5 minutes. And the committee secretariat are requested to be observant on the allowable time given to each member. may we ask the endorser to comment, to respond to the observations of the Honorable Suntay.
Madam Chair, may I request that he will hear first all the observations so that he will have an entire response.
If for the sake of continuity of the
Because
flow
I
of
have
thoughts,
also my
same
my-
observation?
I have different observations.
Yes, let us hear
Okay.
first the comment of the endorser to the observation of Honorable Suntay, and then we will be calling you Honorable Rodriguez. Honorable De Lima?
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier, the VP herself is the ultimate responsible officer or accountable officer of all these expenses or all these disbursements and spending of the confidential funds. Malinaw po na sinaad sa paragraphs 149, 151, and 153 that VP Sara was the accountable officer for over 500 million and that no disbursement could occur without her approval. And it was also further alleged that she directed the preparation, encashment, and delivery of 125 million. Meron hong testimonya na sinasabi na yung mga yon, yung mga funds na yon ay hindi naman talaga nagamit dun sa mga dapat ipaggamit ng confidential funds. And then kanina po, yung sinabi po ni Congressman Suntay, dun sa wala namang sinasabi doon na mali yung pagkakagamit ng mga confidential funds. May I direct the attention of the Honorable Committee, Annexes C, F, H, and I are certifications that says expenses were incurred with agencies, intel, and confidential operations. And based on the audit observation memoranda issued by the COA, ito ay hindi naman talaga na ginamit dun sa mga totoong purposes of the confidential and intel funds, but actually were wrongly disbursed to wrong persons and for the wrong purposes. Yung paggamit ng mga confidential funds na katulad ng ginagamit para sa safe houses, sa tables and chairs, sa laptops, nakasabi po yan lahat dito, at that is a misuse of confidential funds alongside yung pagtatakip rin. Kasi remember, when the committee then requested from COA any finding, any certification with respect to the spending of the OVP's funds, pinigilan pa nga ito ng kanyang chief of staff na wag gawin ng COA. This is a form of obstruction, and that is under her instructions. And clear po sa mga dokumento na ito na mali talaga yung paggamit ng mga confidential intel funds. Nakita natin yung mga acknowledgements receipts ng mga which appear to be questionable and fictitious names. These were approved by the Vice President herself. May pirma siya sa certain documents as attached. So I don't see the validity of the argument na walang proof na may kinalaman si VP sa paggastos ng mali ng confidential funds ng Office of the Vice President.
Thank you. Again, for purposes of an orderly deliberation, except for the manifestation which is tantamount to sponsorship with respect to the determination of sufficiency in substance, the questions and manifestations of the justice members are limited to 5 minutes. The answer of the endorser is limited as well to 5 minutes. If you wish to continue with your point of argument, you will be given your opportunity on the second round. That is in the interest of fairness and equality because the other members wishes to make their manifestation as well. So I will be calling the Honorable Rodriguez, and if there will be no more members aside from Kong Jokno, we will be going back to you, Honorable Suntay,
Reply.
after the first round. Honorable Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, distinguished colleagues, the respected endorsers. Let me just comment first on the prefatory statement. Yesterday, I really acknowledged the statement and the lyrics given by the Honorable De Lima on whatever you go to come here, get here. By train, by car, by plane, by boat. And that is the song, Get Here, by Oleta Adams. Thank you. But in the prefatory statement, it seems that the prefatory statement is from the man from La Mancha, the impossible dream. I like to ask, is the quest to impeach the Vice President an impossible dream?
Not at all.
Okay, so the prefatory statement should have been changed. There should be something more positive than negative. Otherwise, impossible dream is an impossible dream. But anyway, I go now, Madam Chair, to the grounds. We will methodically go into the grounds to try to go to trial against the Vice President. So, number one, the first ground is Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution. There is none. There's no direct. We cannot have a violation of general principles of state policies. There has to be a point, according to the Supreme Court, there has to be clear, specific provision that is directly violated by the impeachable official. There is none. There is no allegation on that. Next, and this is where there is what we have to discuss because there are many underlying grounds for betrayal of public trust. The first one as stated in the complaint is committing plunder. Madam Chair, plunder is under Republic Act 7080. You have to put in here all the elements of plunder, which are for misappropriation, conversion, misuse or malversation of public funds, receiving the commissions. He receives the money, the kickbacks, you see, illegal fraudulent conveyance of assets or taking advantage. All of these were not alleged in the complaint. So we take out plunder. Now, malversation. Malversation is governed, Madam Chair, by the law on Article 217 of the Revised Penal Code. So there are also requirements for malversation to support betrayal of public trust. And the elements here is that the offender is public officer, and as decided by the Supreme Court, she should be an accountable officer. The Vice President is not an accountable officer. Oh, who are the accountable officers? By definition, according to the Supreme Court, accountable officers are cashiers, treasurers, property officers, and the like. She is the Vice President. And so therefore, this malversation cannot prosper as stated directly. However, this is where it will be. However, there is allegation here that there is conspiracy. Ayan. The accountable officer, if there is conspiracy by the head of office, under the ruling of the Supreme Court, there may be malversation through conspiracy. And that is what they are going to therefore make as a support for committing betrayal of public trust. And then, graft and corruption. It is governed by Republic Act 3019, Article 3. So, paragraph 3, E, F. And there is also no clear allegation that because of his office, he gave due advantage or she received kickbacks. This is confidential funds. And so therefore, Madam Chair, we could not also say that there is graft and corruption. Secondly, and lastly, other high crimes very far from it. In this case, the allegation is that there is a misappropriation of 500 million in the OVP. 125 of that was 2022, 375 in 2000. Now, what is the status now of that particular finding by the COA? Madam Chair, the COA saw that there is lack of funds, lack of supporting documents, documentary evidence of payments. But there is no COA finding of corruption of the Vice President. This is just the lack of documentary evidence of payments to the respective beneficiaries. And then we also have, Madam Chair, in this case, graft and corruption is defined, the Supreme Court said it's about 3019. So in this case, there is no, when did the Vice President receive the money? Where was it deposited? So, therefore, receiving these gifts or kickbacks under under 3019.
If I may interrupt, Honorable Rodriguez, you are more than 5
I'm
minutes,
just going
so
to wind
kindly
up,
wrap
Madam
up.
Chair. I'm just going to wind up. And then other high crimes, it is far from other high crimes. So therefore, Madam Chair, these are my observations, and we are going to say, and I'm going to state here, that as far as betrayal of public trust, there is a recital of facts sufficient. Substance in substance to go to trial. The particular case here, there was observation, audit observation, and there was notice of disallowance. That's correct. But then the Vice President has appealed this to the Commission on Audit. As to allegations found by our committees on merit status, these are to be explained in the trial.
Yes.
And so therefore, I find that the first ground, there is substance in substance of this form. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable De Lima, your comment?
I absolutely agree with the Honorable Rufus Rodriguez with respect to his summation that these are constitutive of betrayal of public trust.